Hey, this is Meredith's husband. I've got some SEO advice for you, but I'm going to keep it really simple so that you can understand it, so it makes sense, and most importantly, so you can actually use it. Unminified JavaScript and CSS files.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what I was just
Everybody wants to know about unminified JavaScript and CSS files.
I do.
Yeah.
Is it unminified have anything to do with minions?
No.
Okay.
I actually got a couple questions this week. I got like 3 questions about
Hey,
three
isn't that nice?
Yes. People send
Thank you.
questions about unminified JavaScript and CSS files all the time. It's like it's the most popular question.
Guys,
And I want to
boys
take
and girls and
I want to take what I mentioned last week about kind of taking
Staping.
you can stape it, or you can take a step back and look at things from Google's perspective. I'm going to do that. And I actually got another question that I really like, specifically about images.
Ooh.
You know, when you do a search in Google and you look like, let's say you do a search for Meredith's Inner Photography.
Okay.
You're going to get you get your Facebook page, your website, your Instagram, you don't have Wedding Wire, but you're going to get those little thumbnails next to a lot of those. So you have a little square thumbnail image that's going to be next to your Facebook page. You have a little square. So somebody asked, where do those come from? How can I change them? That's a question I don't get very often, because in my consulting world, nobody really cares.
Wait a second. The one when you log into Facebook, it's your picture. That's your profile picture.
Usually, yes. Not always.
Oh,
For Facebook, it is usually the case. But for different websites, and sometimes you have a specific page that shows up from a website and it has one image. And I've talked to numerous photographers, and this is a big deal for photographers, like I was saying before you interrupted me.
Never.
Is in my consulting work, it doesn't really matter. Like clients, they're going to have their logo there. They don't have a bunch of images. For photographers, this is really important because
Muy importante.
this usually means when somebody sees those images, it usually means they're doing a search for you, right?
Oh, yeah.
And we've talked before about how important those searches are. If somebody's looking for you by name, they're already kind of a warm lead. You want to give them a good first impression. So
pet them.
Yes. I don't know what that means.
Just pet them like you can pet it if it's fluffy.
So, but that is, as you can imagine, a nice opportunity to get your images and make yourself
100%.
look more kind of prolific if you have a bunch of different nice images showing up. And sometimes I've seen cases where a photographer has the same image somehow appearing a whole bunch of times. It's not the worst thing in the world, especially if you have one really great image.
Right.
And it's like so tied to your brand that people see it and it's awesome.
What if it's of you?
That's probably not likely.
Okay.
But if it is, then these same rules will apply. Or not rules, suggestions.
Suggestions.
So first I'm going to answer this question about images, I guess, because that's what we're talking about. And then I'm going to answer that question about the JavaScript and how you can think about it from Google's perspective. It becomes a lot easier, hopefully.
Yeah.
So first, with these images, the first thing I have to say is you cannot totally control these. Ultimately, these are going to be up to Google.
Oh,
they're going to select images. Sometimes you can have influence over them. Sometimes you can't. Sometimes you don't know why they're choosing a potential image.
Yeah, why are they choosing a particular image?
Well, first, sometimes when like for your Facebook page, you're going to have a profile picture. Most likely that's going to be the picture that is going to show up next to your Facebook page. But a lot of times, like wedding photographers are going to have a page on the knot.com or Wedding Wire.
Right.
And a lot of times they might not be your profile picture. They might be one of the
There's
pictures.
usually a place for your profile picture in addition to your portfolio.
And several times I've been talking with a photographer and they have an image appearing. They're like, I don't even know where this image is coming from. If we go and just look at the page as a user, it's somewhere in an image gallery on that page.
Right.
So the first thing to do, if you are trying to change the images that are appearing there, is go to that page, just click on the link directly in Google and look at that page, look at all the images. If there's an image gallery, look at all the images and try to find that image.
Okay.
If you can, then that's where it's coming from.
Right.
So then if you want to change it, you can try to remove that image and replace it with another one. Now, keep in mind, that's not guaranteed going to make the desired change.
Because we don't know if it's just the location or if Google just likes that picture.
Right. Yeah. Like I said, ultimately, Google's going to make a decision. And even if you were to speak to somebody at Google, they probably can't tell you because some machine is choosing these technically.
Interesting.
But the first thing to do, go see if you can find that image on the page.
Okay.
If you can't find that image on the page, then go in, like if it's your Wedding Wire page, a page you have on your profile, go see, did you insert that image somewhere? First look at your profile picture. If it's not there, then look at your gallery pictures.
Okay.
So you got to, for these things, unfortunately, you got to do a little bit of digging. There's no single rule where I can say you always do this and that will change that image. You got to just do a little bit of digging.
Yeah.
And I will say that often, not always, but often it will be your main profile picture. If you have a page on WordPress, every single page has what they call a featured image. Oh. And it's just in the settings.
Oh.
And
can you choose it?
Yes, you choose it.
That's very nice.
I believe Squarespace and Wix, all these platforms have something similar. So often that would be the image that Google displays, because that is what those tools, WordPress and Squarespace and Wix, that's going to be the image that they are suggesting to Google that they use.
Hey.
But Google is well known for not taking suggestions like that.
They are not improvisers.
So that's my take on adjusting the images.
So just pretty much find where it is and substitute
first
the image that you want where the image that you have.
Try that first, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be my first suggestion. And keep in mind, it might not work.
Okay. Glad we focused on that.
Yeah, well, I mean, people, I've actually spoken with a number of people who are really befuddled by this. They don't know where these images are coming from. And lo and behold, they are on the page. They're literally on the page somewhere.
Wow.
So people seem to bypass that step. That's the first step. Now, on to my other question about the unminified.
Wait, couldn't you just put that image into a Google image search and then it would lead you to the page wherever it is?
Maybe.
Wouldn't that cut out the middleman?
That I think would
direct you right to it.
Then you'd go back to the same page which I told you just to go to directly.
Let me see.
Yeah. Anyway, back to my JavaScript, unminified JavaScript and CSS files.
Number 2.
So this reminds me, last week we talked about sometimes you got to take a step back, try to forget all the rules and all the jargon and just try to think, oh, what is Google trying to do here? Now this, I think, is one of those things. JavaScript and CSS files are a very technical thing. Most people don't even know what they are.
What are they?
As soon as I say those words, I can see your eyes roll.
I start looking at my pores.
Yeah, those are text files. They do things that help format websites. It's just a bunch of text. They're files with a bunch of text. When you have a WordPress site that's going to have JavaScript and CSS files that make the website look the way it looks, all the plugins are going to have, or not all, but a lot of the plugins will have JavaScript and CSS files. Squarespace has their own JavaScript. Exactly, right. So think about, let's take a hypothetical situation.
Okay.
Google is looking
We're walking through cream cheese.
No, that's not the one I was thinking of.
Okay.
Google is looking at a site, and the site's really good. Like, people engage with it, gets a lot of traction, has a lot of links. The usability is great. Everything is really great. But the JavaScript and the CSS files are badly unminified.
Oh, they are. What does unminified mean?
See, I don't even want to get into it because it doesn't really. Do you think Google is not going to send people to that website that people like and is getting links and is getting traction because the JavaScript is unminified? No.
I don't know what the unminified means.
And see, I've told you before, and you don't even remember. Unminifying is literally just taking the spaces out of a text file. So you have a text file, and that just means it's just text. And there's thousands, perhaps thousands and thousands and thousands of lines of code there. When you minify it, you're taking out all the blank spaces. You're making it smaller so that a computer can read it faster, so that Google can read it faster.
So they know when the words end.
Yes, they do. Yeah.
Okay.
They know commands, and code is written with commands.
Okay.
And so that's all.
That's right.
So this is a speed issue.
Okay.
It's literally just taking, it's going to shave a micro nanosecond off of the amount
Thank
of time.
God.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is a fairly technical issue. I would think you would agree, right?
Yeah. Already, I'm just like
yeah. So that's my
looking
point.
for seagulls.
Have you ever been to a website and you're like, this
Never.
this website is awesome, but man, I feel like
It's just not minified.
I feel like the JavaScript just hasn't been minified well enough. I'm gonna bail.
If I had a penny.
Yeah. So although speed is good, take it into consideration what Google is trying to do.
Okay.
And I would say take this unminified JavaScript and CSS files, and although SEMrush and other SEO tools are going to tell you it's an error, don't worry about it too much.
Yeah.
Google
I would say only spend an unminified amount of time on it.
Yeah.
So quick. Okay, that was question number 2. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Is there a third?
No, it was those 2. I actually got 3 different questions this week about unminified JavaScript and CSS files. So I wanted to address it. And I wanted to say, probably leave it till last. If you're working through like SEMrush issues and trying to bring up your score, focus on other things first. And if you're really having trouble bringing your score up, then go and look at the unminified JavaScript. Oh, and by the way, if you're on Squarespace, you can't do anything to those JavaScript files anyway. So don't bother.
Don't worry.
Yeah.
Throw your hands up and do a jig. Eat a cookie.
Are we done?
Yeah.
Good God, this episode is awesome.
We can minify it. Hey, thank you so much for listening. We really hope that you find this helpful and useful. And if you do, what you could do for us as a thanks would be to, drumroll please, yes, leave a review. Yes, everybody says it, I know, but it really does make a difference. Take 3 seconds, leave as many stars, say something really nice about what you like about the podcast and maybe why other people would like it. It would mean the world to us, especially my husband. That better? All right, I'm going to try one where I'm not going to be charming.